the night out right. Panel at the table in that half-dead light. Miss Robin in the middle, calling every shot, directing and producing till the story runs hot. 1-1 from the city, badge heavy on his chest, towing that law like a wicked chain, spitting facts, no rest. Crimes after dark, we close the night out right. Tear through the lies till the wrong sounds like a fight. All of the answers buried so deep out of sight. We watch the threads unravel, we watch the threads ignite. DJ in the corner, state of the deep in his head. Which lies to toss and which ones to keep instead. Dago from the cafe says forget about it, leans back, spins his thoughts like a blade cutting holes in the track. Lee at the front, head advocate, steady stare, every word like a warning, every silence a dare. All of them leaning in, clock crawling, eyes bright. Every secret feels louder than the buzzing of the night. Crimes after dark, we close the night out right. Tear through the lies till the wrong sounds like a fight. All of the answers buried so deep out of sight. We watch the threads unravel, we watch the threads ignite. You can bury it in paper, you can lock it in a file, but the truth bleeds through, drip by drip, tile by tile. We're dragging it to daylight, name by name, line by line. If you wrote it in the shadows, we'll read it out this time. Yeah. Crimes after dark, we close the night out right. Tear through the lies till the wrong sounds like a fight. All of the answers buried so deep out of sight. We watch the threads unravel, we watch the threads ignite.
All right, everyone. It is a Crimes After Dark special. Hopefully my microphone is working. I'm pretty sure it is. Okay, so here's the thing. By the way, that music is badass. We introduced it about a week ago, maybe a little bit less. We're going to start rotating it back and forth with the original theme song, just because some of you say, oh no, you retired to the song. It's not retired, it's in rotation. And in fact, we're going to probably add some more songs in rotation. I wanted to say another thing real quick before we get started with the panelists on stage. We have a lot of people who are watching from other channels, and I feel this is what's so cool about you guys that watch this show. I feel your conflict of, I don't know who to support. Which side of the stream should I watch? And so some people will watch one stream and then use other devices to go over and watch the other streams, and then like and thumbs up and heart other streams while on our stream or theirs. It's cool. I feel bad for you in a way that you're in that situation, but it's so cool that you guys love the panel so much that you want to spread the love and make sure we're all getting the love. So all I can say about that is we are trying to not be jealous over what side of the equation you're watching. Unfortunately, Streamyard doesn't do a great job integrating all of our chats. So if you're watching one of our channels, you're not seeing the chat of the other channels. We, however, on the panel are seeing all of the chats. So just keep that in mind, regardless of who you're watching. The panelists have an opportunity at least. Now, whether they can, when they're talking and reading and having a conversation, they can read everything. They are seeing all of the chats combined together in our backside studio. But unfortunately, each one of your independent groups are hanging out with your own independent group. I wish there was a way we could all get the chat together. So maybe Streamyard's working on it. I think they're working on it. I know it's a feature that they're asking for, and I don't even know logistically how they can do it. It's kind of more of a YouTube thing than a Streamyard thing, I think. We'll see if we can work that out. All right, enough of my yammering. Let's get into the details tonight and bring up our panelists in order as they are backstage, with the exception of one who we always bring up last, so he can say the monologue and get us kicked off for the night. So, Dago, you're up first. How you doing this evening?
Whoa. Forget about it. It's good to be here.
You.
Good to see you guys tonight.
Anything special that you did today on your show, your channel, or anything in the news that caught your attention, without getting too long into it, because we'll talk about it more in depth when we get going? But
we had a great show tonight. Episode 2 of the Verdict Room Unfiltered. Logan was there, typically unique. Mikey, myself, and our guest was Glitch DNA. Great show. Great questions, great comments, just great show. I was very
I've heard a lot of good things about Glitch DNA, so
yeah.
That went well. Yeah,
she's awesome. Yeah, that was a great show. I was very pleased with it. Besides that, I didn't get a chance to do much of anything else. Today was my daughter's birthday, so I did that all day, and then this, and now I'm here because I wouldn't miss this for my life. Of course, you know that. So it was great.
Very, very cool. Well, happy birthday to your daughter, and glad that you guys got to have some time together.
Yes.
Yeah, that's very, very cool. You know, well, I was going to tell you what I'm going to do, but I guess I'll wait till we're all together to tell you about what I did today. Let's bring in Logan from Bronx Tales True Crime. How are you?
Hello, good. How are you guys?
Whoa.
I'm living the dream.
Today's show was so good. I absolutely adore Glitch DNA. She gives us so much knowledge and a different perspective, but in a topic that we need that professional perspective. And
that's amazing.
So valuable.
It was great. It was great.
Cool. That's very cool. Yeah, that's very cool to hear. Anything else that you did? Did you do anything special on your stream only, or were you just kind of doing Dago's show and the Verdict Room thing? Or
yeah, I just did the Verdict Room so far today, and then here tonight. So yeah.
Cool. Well, I mean, I guess, you know, 2 different shows in one day is probably enough. You don't need to do like 3. So I guess we'll cut you some slack.
True.
That's why I didn't do a regular show for my channel today, because I was doing that and this, and I just didn't want to. By the time I got here, I didn't want to have one eye going this way, one going that way, and my tongue hanging out of the corner of my mouth. So I'm like, I'll just leave it at that, and we're good.
Well, and you have a birthday girl too. So
yeah, my 32-year-old daughter. I can't believe I have a 32-year-old child. That blows my mind. But anyway,
that is wild.
Moving on.
Yeah, I get it. By the way, should I leave this ticker along the bottom talking about you? First of all, I almost don't think you call guests anymore. You guys are kind of like permanent furniture at this point, but maybe we'll have to change the wording. But I did want to make sure, like you said, that sometimes you'll have people on your guys' show that'll sign up to see you, and they're like, what the hell? Why does it say Devil's Advocates everywhere? So this is the way to try to make sure they know, you're going to be here. But I don't know if we need to keep it rolling the entire time. What do you guys think? Should we take it off now that they know that you're on screen, or
whatever you're comfortable with, sir.
Some people don't like all the motion, so I think I'll take it off just to avoid.
Oh my god! Now they forgot who I was. Now
something's missing. Oh my god!
Damn.
Whatever.
You gotta ruin everything.
I'm gonna bring Robin up on stage next, but I'm telling you, StreamYard hates her, or her computer hates her, because every once in a while she just gets muted when she's talking, and then she's like, it says the host muted me, you're doing it, I'm not doing shit. But we've been working on this for like a month. Like, I don't know what happened. One day StreamYard just started muting her sound. I have no clue what's going on, but let's cross your fingers and see if Robin's going to be able to talk to us.
Hello.
I got a wicked echo coming from your side, though.
Hello.
An echo?
What? The echo's gone. So maybe the echo's gone. Oh. So it was at first.
Okay. Well, anyway, how's everybody?
I'm good. How are you?
All right, doing all right. Good to see you guys. What's that?
What did you do today?
Got ready for the cyclone bomb that's coming tonight here on the East Coast. So
what's the statistics?
Yeah, that was our excitement.
What's the snow going to be, and what's the temperature going to be on that thing?
Yeah, and some cleaning, just the usual weekend type stuff. So
can you hear Lee, Robin?
Yes.
Oh, I asked you a question and you completely went to a different thing. So
we went to
like, maybe she didn't hear me. But no, that's okay. I'm used to being ignored. It's just it's a thing. It's whatever.
Oh my
whatever.
God.
I'm
I was
curious.
just asking if you knew what the temperature or the snow level was supposed to be.
Here in PA, we're supposed to get like 3 to 8 inches, and probably in the like low 30s, maybe high 20s, something like that. But I know other places are going to get hit a lot harder than us. So
As that means me always because we
stupid
get
groundhog.
bullshit.
Right.
I'm sick of this weather already.
Mhm.
All right. Well, we get the pleasure of having JJ from State of the Deep with us tonight. We'll bring him up. We'll bring one up, and then we'll kick the show off officially. What's up, JJ?
What's up, everybody? How you guys doing? What's up to the denizens,
All right.
the meatballs, the believers, and the mods? Bros and hoes, yo. Robin, that storm that you guys are getting, it passed through here a couple of days ago, except we didn't get any bomb cyclone. It got real cold at night, single digits. We got
Yeah.
about in 2 days. We probably got, I don't know, like maybe 8 inches, which is where I live. That's nothing.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. That's about what we're supposed to get here. So not pretty much the same. So which is good. I don't want 2 feet. Not
I don't
not
want
2
any of
weeks to
it.
go there.
Yeah, well, you got in most places, it sucks if you get 8 inches of snow, but where I live, they're plowing constantly because it's in the mountains and people, it's a
Right.
resort area, so they have to plow constantly. So it's never
Yeah.
really too bad unless you get really hit hard.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm ready for spring. It needs to be spring.
I'm so
Same.
ready.
I'm done with that crap.
I'm stifling the 14-year-old boy. I'm hearing too many things that I could comment on, but I'm just going to leave this go. Let's bring one up for.
Don't stifle it, man.
Whoa.
Say,
It's bad for
Never-
you. Don't-
I'm not going to string it together for you. This is the children's part of the show. What's up? Oh, I gotta get stuff off.
Evening.
Yeah, what's
howdy.
How is everyone doing?
Good,
I'm
good.
getting ready. I'm getting ready to get crushed with snow, and I don't know. I don't live in New York City, but our last storm we got, I don't know. I think it's probably a union thing. I mean, garbage piled up everywhere. Usually, I mean, it shouldn't take that long to plow the streets, but it's going to be a nightmare. It's going to be.
It's funny.
It's going to be crazy.
It's funny when you said I don't live in New York. I'm like, oh, here we go. Now we're gonna go. I knew he wasn't NYPD. He doesn't even live in New York. That guy's a fucking liar.
Yeah.
So anyway,
So how's the weather in California today? 1-1. Hint, hint.
Oh. Yeah.
All right. So yeah. What do you got?
But I had fun. We went shopping.
Good.
Where I am, as soon as they say it's, oh, we're gonna get a snowstorm, people think the end of the world is coming. So
Yeah.
it's
Anywhere in
funny.
upstate New York, if they get snow, I'll see you in a couple days, buddy. I'm just saying.
It's the same way in Seattle. When Seattle
Yeah.
hits, I was living in Seattle, and when it snow in Seattle, they're done. They're just done.
You know what? I think everywhere has gotten snow this year bad, except for where it usually falls, which is in Idaho. They didn't get any.
Montana too.
Molly lives in Idaho, and she's like, "Where the hell's my snow?" She's used to it. She didn't get any. So
Yeah.
it's weird.
All right, one. Are you ready to kick us off for the night with the monologue?
Sure.
All right, let's do this.
All right. Is it good to be alive in the den on a Saturday night?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Yo, Juliana,
Oh,
Jackson, love you guys. Of course, my beautiful wife. Some stories don't announce themselves. They don't crash into the news cycle. They don't demand attention. They wait. They sit quietly in places where the mountains block the signal, where the roads curve just enough to lose cell service, where night falls early and stays longer than it should. Lecher County is one of those places, a place where silence isn't absence, it's discipline. It's something you're taught before you're ever told. And tonight, we're talking about Ben Fields, not as a headline, not as a soundbite, but as a fracture running through a system that learned how to look away. Because this story doesn't begin with violence, it begins with power, with a badge, with authority, with the quiet understanding that some people are protected and some people are not. And when that balance breaks, when restraint disappears, when someone realizes there will be no immediate consequences, the damage doesn't come all at once. It comes in moments, in choices, in the seconds where no one intervenes, in the pauses where someone could have spoken and didn't. This isn't just about what happened, it's about what didn't happen, who didn't stop it, who didn't question it, who stayed silent because silence was safer than truth. In small places, authority echoes louder. There are fewer witnesses, fewer records, fewer people willing to say what they saw, because tomorrow they still have to live there. And systems know this. They rely on it. They rely on time passing, on attention shifting, on the public getting tired. They rely on you forgetting. That's the part they miscalculated. Because devil's advocates exist for the stories that were supposed to fade, for the cases that were meant to be smoothed over, for the moments where power crossed the line and expected no one to redraw it. We don't raise our voices here. We don't rush. We don't sensationalize. We sit in the discomfort. We ask why the warning signs were ignored, why accountability arrived late or not at all, why certain names were protected while others were quietly erased from the narrative. This is about what happens when authority forgets it's being watched, and what happens when a community is asked to pretend it didn't see. So lower the volume, let the silence stretch, because the truth doesn't need to shout. It just needs someone willing to say it loud when everyone else decided not to. This is Devil's Advocates, and this story isn't finished. And with that, live from New York, it's Saturday night.
Very
There you go.
cool. There was a moment. What's the famous? It's falsely attributed all the time, but something you just said reminded me of the famous phrase, "All that is necessary for evil to triumph is for good men to do nothing." I think it gets famously misattributed to Mark Twain or something like that, but I don't think it was actually him that said it.
I thought it was Ben Franklin.
See, I think it's misattributed to several people, but I don't know. Was it Ben
Yeah.
Franklin? Yeah.
I believe
Whatever
it
the
has,
case.
I think he's right, Ben Franklin.
But it's it has that vibe to it, right? Which is that somebody needs to say something in some of these cases,
Right.
and somebody needs to bring attention to it. So that's what we try to do. And
Well, it's true, DA, that statement though, if you think about it.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it was, who was the one that was it on our channel? Somebody on our panel one time or something that said, it's not even about saying the right thing. It's about saying the right thing at the right time. Like,
Yeah,
like,
it was Estes
crime
said that.
days. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it's not just about saying the right thing. It's about saying that. So it's both of those things are important. Somebody needs to say something. Evil will triumph if people don't stand up and say, this is some fuckery or some bullshit. And when you say it when it actually matters and not after it's fucking too late.
And, you know, a lot of the stuff that we're seeing in the world the last several years, in my opinion, it's largely allowed by the fact that people are so divided. Because if people were, and now I'm not suggesting that everybody's got to, hug and, skip to the loo together in the world, because that's not reality. But the media wouldn't get away with the bullshit they get away with if people weren't so divided.
Yeah.
Good point.
Yeah. And there's an argument, maybe a little bit outside the scope of this show, maybe more in the scope of the show that you're moving towards, but there's an argument that keeping people divided is actually a plan by upper ups, right? That they want people divided.
Of course.
Absolutely.
Because you can, a house divided cannot
absolutely.
stand against itself, right? So yeah.
Yeah.
It's the oldest, it's literally thousands of years old. Divide and conquer. Art of war.
Yep.
Yep.
keep you in two parties, keep you in this
Yep.
versus that. You know, everything is divided into two sides that hate each other and go extreme, and then make everybody angry with each other and keep everybody fighting, and then you can misdirect.
Well, think of how powerful we would be if everybody was together.
Right.
Yeah.
They couldn't
Yeah.
have that then.
I mean, if even a good chunk of people realize it's all bullshit, there's still going to be division, but the amount of division now is unsustainable.
Insane, yeah.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
if we could get people to realize they're being played, you know, a lot of the shit that's going, because they know, they follow social media, they follow everything, they know how divided the population is. If people would start to unite, that's what the power structure hates more than anything, is they fear a united population more than anything.
Could
Yep.
you guys imagine, like, with that statement that Logan just made, if we all were, almost all of us were in union on something, the power that we actually truly would have?
It's
Yeah.
huge.
Oh yeah.
It's
Definitely.
I think it's even bigger than most people realize.
Right.
Oh yeah.
It's I can see so many examples from much further reaching things to the stuff we talk about every night. If people were more in unity, not perfect, but not at each other's throats, they would just say fuck you to the media,
Yeah.
and people wouldn't
Yep.
even listen to them. They would
Right.
and if the government was trying to screw people like they have been and are continuing to do, people would say, no, we're not doing that. You're not putting me against my neighbor. We're not buying it. Take a hike.
Yep.
And
Agreed.
that's why they have to keep us divided, because people can't stay in power unless they can manufacture consent from one side or the other to carry
Right.
out what they have to carry out or what their plans are.
Right.
Yes,
And again,
sir.
it's a little deep, but you know,
It is. It's very
There-
deep, and then
there could be
yeah.
foreign countries
Go ahead.
that literally have bot farms that are designed to do nothing
Yeah.
but to get Americans hating each other and spend
Yeah.
the
Well,
entire
see,
time
that's
getting
been
the
proven.
population
Yeah.
to fight each other so they
Right.
can take over everything.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
We
And then
hate
we
each
have our
other
own,
because
and
that,
right, and then there's a whole.
Come on,
a whole
everybody,
thread,
let's come
a whole
together.
thread.
yeah.
And there's a whole thread with that. You know, the government, our own government. You know, people. I think a lot of people are willing to believe, you know, that all kinds of, you know, weird, whatever fuckery is used against other countries and other nations. But some people they're still starting to wake up a little bit, but people are still kind of blind. You know, they still don't want to believe that our own government could use something like MK Ultra or stuff like that against our own. But these things exist.
And
Yeah.
and to say nothing of the fact that the technology they have now is exponentially more powerful than what the MK Ultra program started as.
Definitely.
Right.
And you know, most people who don't quite understand like social media and how social media was initiated, who actually started it, how Facebook actually started the internet, all that stuff.
Mhm.
That stuff was not started for the reasons that we've all been told. And so the social engineering and manipulation that has taken place for many years has been very deliberate and systematic.
And sadly, and I feel like there is I mean, we're getting awfully philosophical, but sadly, I think there is somebody mentioned YouTubers being run off. There is a shift. I
Mhm.
feel there's a shift happening in America where people are losing trust in mainstream media. It has
Mhm.
traditionally been the case. Mainstream media sets the talking points for the day. They'll tell you how to think about things.
Yep.
And a lot of people still are in that mode of going to be told how they're supposed to think about a case going in by the media. But more and more people
Yeah.
are turning to YouTube
Yeah.
as their source of information instead of mainstream media. And now guess what?
100%.
They're questioning the official narrative because they're no longer getting their talking points from the talking heads
I mean,
at all the major networks.
I mean, look at the last presidential election. I mean, it doesn't, whether you like Trump or not, isn't even the issue. Look what he did. He was on he was going on podcasts and stuff every day.
Yeah.
So
Well, and that goes back to what I said. Was it?
Yeah,
a
he's the
month?
first
Maybe a
Twitter
month?
president, right? Just always all over Twitter
Yes,
and everything.
yes.
Yeah.
I think I said it like it was a couple weeks, at least a few weeks ago, where I said that all the mainstream media reporters have started, not all, but quite a few have started their own YouTube channels out here, which tells me that they're looking in that direction so that they can try to pull control back of that too. So
why do you think Tucker Carlson moved to an online show?
Right.
Isn't it though?
Megyn Kelly, same, you know?
Yeah.
Isn't it disingenuous for them to create YouTube channels and then simultaneously shit on how YouTube is not a like, I'm going to create a YouTube channel and then I'm going to shit on how YouTubers are out there ruining the story.
Yes.
But you're now a YouTuber. So
well, a lot of the true crime channels, the bigger ones, they're definitely getting paid.
Yeah.
Outside sources.
Right.
To push certain narratives. It happens all the time. There's people on X and all the other platforms that clearly are somehow endorsed.
All right. By the way, thank you for I don't know which side got that gift, but one of our panelists or one of our panelists got that gift straight from the horse's mouth. Thanks for
thank you so much for the $5 straight from the horse's mouth.
I love it
so much. Yeah.
I had a point I was gonna make, and fuck if I hope I didn't dismiss it. Yep, pretty sure I dismissed it. Damn it, it was something JJ was saying, and then the money came in, and the money. That's it. So here's the irony. This is the irony. I am so educate yourself, America, and not just America. This is an international audience. Educate yourself on this bullshit. How mainstream media is trying to get the public to think that YouTubers are trying to make money off of people's tragedy. You're making money off of people's tragedy. What a sick bastard that runs this YouTube. You realize mainstream media is making a fuck ton more money than any of us are. And who's paying their bills? Pharmaceutical companies, big banks. Watch the commercial. Who's paying the bills of mainstream media? So I have to say this, fuck off mainstream media with your YouTubers are trying to make money off of people's tragedy. Your commercials are paid commercials for you to pay. And they're oftentimes people that have interests. I'm going to go on a soapbox for interests that are against the American public's best interest. Selling us drugs every single day, showing smiling people, ask for Trulicity, ask for go fuck ya, whatever it is, like you showing smiling happy people so that you can sell your drugs pisses my ass off. All right, I'm done with my soapbox.
I fucking love you. I love you. That was great.
Dude, it's you gotta say it. You gotta speak the truth, DA. That's
Amen, brother. Amen.
I don't know where the hell that came from. I pulled that right out.
Yes, salute. That was amazing. That's absolutely fact right there.
Thank you.
Oh shit, that was awesome.
Anyways,
Amanda, you got to clip that.
It just makes me angry. It makes me angry when they talk about us like with our little peanuts, the peanuts that we're making on this channel, like we're profiting off of.
Did you say your little penis?
Do not.
Is that what I heard?
Whoa.
You may have heard it, but it's not what I said.
Have a great night, everybody.
Robin, isn't that what it sounded like?
Yeah, I think it probably did sound that way.
Thank you. Thank you.
You can never not worry about laughing at least one time on this show at night, you guys. Not at least one, okay?
Oh, that cold was in your testicles?
Yes. I had the worst testicle cold you could ever get.
You got some shrinkage going on up there, dude?
Oh my God. All right, we're a true crime show, for fuck's sake. Let's get back to true crime.
That is true crime.
It will be a crime. Anyways, I'm not gonna go there. I want to talk a little bit before we move into any other case about my members only live today. I was covering an interview by Ben Fields. So for those who don't understand the Lecher County case, I will try to be relatively brief. So what the hell did I just come into? Yeah, you came into colossal fuckery, and we just got.
We don't know either.
Anyway, so Ben Fields was already tried and convicted of rape and sodomy. Now, this is where my tangent's going to go. We have a challenge in this country with words. Words trigger us, right? So if a child is involved, you'll say someone's a pedophile. The child involved might have been a 16-year-old. Pedophilia doesn't apply to a 16-year-old. Neither does it apply. Pedophilia talks about a preference for children, not a molest. Our wording makes differences. And here's where it tricks into place with Letcher County. Ben Fields, they were asking him on this interview. I watched an interview with, it was 2 detectives for the Attorney General's office. And they were asking him whether or not his sexual encounters with Sabrina Atkins, who ultimately he was accused of and convicted of rape and sodomy, whether it was consensual or not, right? Was it consensual? And the detectives are saying, look, we all know the difference between consensual sex and forced sex or rape, right? So did you rape her or was it consensual? But here's the nuance that people don't seem to understand. The detective said, did you throw her around and force her or not? That's the difference. But that's not. In legal terms, it was rape and it was non-consensual because Ben Fields wore a badge and a uniform and had control over whether she went to prison or not and went back to jail and whether she stayed out free. That means it was no longer a consensual relationship. Just like also, so where I'm going with that is this. The detectives were saying, well, did you force her or not? Well, here's the thing. It was non-consensual by definition because you had a badge and you were over a position of authority over her. And whether you think she was flirting with you or not, and all the things you tried to say, this was a relationship and she liked me and look at the text messages, she's flirting with me. She's flirting with you because you can keep her ass out of jail. And because simultaneously you'll throw her ass back in jail if she doesn't accept your sexual advances. So yes, she may have made some sexual advances to you to keep out of jail. And that was the nuance that people don't seem to realize when they're saying, well, wait a minute, like, was it consensual or was it not? No, it was not consensual by definition of the law. But a lot of people don't understand those nuances, which is that he didn't. Go ahead, JJ. Do you want to pipe in?
I just wanted to bring something up. It's relevant, and it's certainly relevant to true crime. I can say, this, DA, because we talked about it, but in college, I actually spoke at a professional conference on behalf of my university regarding internet predators. So I did a research project specific to that. And one of the things that needs clarification, because for some bizarre reason, the whole entire media and seemingly most of social media don't even know the definitions of what distinctions are. A pedophile is someone that's sexually attracted to prepubescent kids.
Right.
That is the psychological, psychiatric definition. A predator is somebody that preys on, say, minors, right? And it may be sexual assault. It may be, other of various, matrix of different things that fall within that. But if people want to get credibility, a lot of the people online are just throwing it out the window, because saying Jeffrey Epstein was a pedophile,
a great
right out
example,
of the gate, is completely, in most of the cases from what I've seen, is inaccurate. The literal psychiatric definition of a pedophile is someone sexually attracted to prepubescent children.
Not only that, so I want to riff on that some more, because it's not only that. Epstein. So first of all, and we're not defending. I want to make sure nobody fucking thinks we're defending, right? But the other part of the Epstein thing, not only did the victims not meet the criteria of the age required for pedophilia, but again, pedophilia is a preference for kids. I would argue Jeffrey Epstein ran a business in which he was providing young teens to men in exchange for blackmail material and things like this. So it wasn't his preference necessarily, which is the requirement for a pedophile. But again, what happened, and the reason why it's important is because we need to educate the public about, let's use the right words and get the right terminology so you understand what really happened. Because just closing your mind and going, he's a fucking pedophile, he needs to die. No, he wasn't a pedophile. he was a predator and he used a system to entrap people. But first get your fucking language right and understand what really happened so you can get because otherwise you're just blindly accepting the mainstream media narrative. They told you how to think about Epstein, so you just repeat the narrative without thinking. And so
and just for clarification, there may have been pedophilia involved within that network of what was going on. That's not at all what I'm saying.
Right.
What I'm saying is for people like online and all over online and the mainstream media are talking about things, and you're like, I can't believe no psychologists, psychiatrists have spoken up publicly and said, you idiots are not even using the right terminology. And I'm not a PhD, but I had to work with PhDs when I was doing this project for my university. And I gave the presentation twice to representing my university. So I had to learn a lot about this stuff, including cases, including all the aggregation of all the different data. And so it drives me nuts when people that are supposed to have credibility don't even use the proper terminology.
Yeah.
Well, and that's what bothers me most is mainstream media would repeat the narrative. Jeffrey Epstein, a pedophile, hung himself. Like your mainstream media, you should know what the word means and use the right terminology, because you're teaching people to use words incorrectly.
And also, go ahead. Also laws get updated too. Laws change, and laws are different from state to state. So, rape. So I could tell you in New York, just recently, 2024, you guys can look it up, the exact wording. They added forced oral sex or forced anal sex is now considered rape. It was not before. Now it is. So laws get updated, things change, and it's different. It can vary a bit from state to state. So
right. And again, to that point, and DA's point as well, these are predators, there's no question about it. There's no doubt about it, and I'm not even questioning that in any way, shape, or form. But it's just when you want to have credibility on a subject, I hear some people talk about it, and I'm like, you guys are idiots. You sound like a moron. You don't even take 5 minutes to look up the actual definition of what pedophilia is. And it just bugs the shit out of me with the mainstream media.
Right. And the reason why it bugged me on the Mickey Stein / Ben Fields thing is these detectives, I wasn't entirely sure. And this is where I got into a thing. I talked to some of the victims in Lecher County about my live today. And that was one of my problems is some of the victims saw the interview a little differently than I did, which is they thought like the detectives were trying to help Ben Fields kind of wiggle his way off the worm of what he did. Like, hey, admit to what you did. Don't make it worse by trying to cover it up, kind of thing. What I saw was detectives laying traps for him. They would literally say, hey, look, we're just a couple of cops here. I know what it's like. Guys will be guys. Girls flirt with us. It's hard to resist. If it's consensual, it's consensual. Everybody knows it's okay. And some will see that to say, see, the detectives are ignorant. They think it's okay. No, it wasn't okay. And I think even the detectives knew it wasn't okay, because they ended the interview by saying, by the way, just to clarify, you were in uniform when this happened, right? Well, yeah, I was. And I'm like, see, they know damn well what they're setting up. They're like, you say it's consensual, but you were in uniform.
They were luring him.
Consensual. They were luring him. Right. So they were baiting him into admitting, like by saying, hey, look, it's okay. She flirted with you. Isn't that right?
Yeah.
Were you
wearing? They do that all the time. That's
I took it the same way that you did, Lee. I felt they were setting traps. That's
there was a few traps they set for him, and it was pretty interesting watching it. But anyways, whatever the case may be, I know that. So later on, by the way, and the girls tell me, well, watch his deposition later. They do kind of spoon feed him questions to let him have easy. And I'll see that. But I can say with that interview, it felt like the detectives simultaneously were trying to trap him into admitting things like, oh, it's okay. Look, she flirted with you, right? And then later on, but you were wearing your uniform, right? and they knew what that would conclude. But sometimes I wondered if they understood the rape thing or whether they were really just baiting him, because they kept saying, like, look, you either forced her or you didn't force her. Did you force her or was it consensual? It was consensual. And some might say they themselves, the detectives, don't understand the difference, that if he was in uniform, it wasn't consensual. It doesn't have to be forced. It doesn't have to be, I pinned you down and threw you against a wall kind of violence, but it would still be non-consensual. And I think the kicker for them that they knew that was at the end when they said, were you wearing a uniform when this happened? Because they know that makes it non-consensual. And ultimately, that's exactly what the jury and the judge said, non-consensual. All right. We should hear from the women, because we're talking about a bunch of sexual crap, and not having women's opinions on it would probably be bad.
Yeah, probably.
What do you guys think? Tell me what your thoughts are.
Well, with the Epstein files in general, I think that a lot of people think just because someone's name is mentioned means they're a pedophile. And that's not how it is at all.
Right.
It's just people that are kind of following other people's opinions and stuff. But just because the name is mentioned in the Epstein files doesn't mean that person is a pedophile. But I don't know. I think growing up, especially like in movies and mainstream media and stuff, we were taught that grape is an action of somebody, pushing you into a wall and doing all this stuff. And it's very black and white. And that's not what that is. There's many different forms and stuff of grape. And it's just simply somebody wearing a uniform and the female thinking, if I don't submit to this, I'm going to jail, is also great.
Yeah. And of course you can drop that G, damn it.
You can. I can't.
Oh, I certainly will. My wife was telling, so go ahead, Robin, what do you have for thoughts on that, by the way?
No, I totally agree with Logan. And anytime, someone is in that kind of situation where there's even just the perception that if I don't go along with whatever, whether it's someone in authority, and authority can be different types of people. It doesn't even have to be like an official. It can be a teacher, a
Definitely.
pastor, a priest, anybody like that.
Right.
The perception is, oh man, especially for younger folks that are in that situation. And the whole thing is, if I tell, are they going to believe me? If I tell my mom, if I tell my dad, are they going to believe me? Because there are a lot of times when people be like, I would never do that. And the parents believe the adult over their own kid. And that's a very sad reality,
Well, and in Lecher County's case, that's the problem that even these grown women have, is that people don't believe their stories because they've learned to work the system. Some of them, right? Some of them will learn to work the system, and they realize if they flirt with the cop, then if they get pulled over by a cop, they're more likely to get let go by that cop. So it behooves them to flirt with cops and be extra friendly, because it might buy you off of a drug charge or something like that. So
and it's also, it's systemic, right? So Robin was saying and what you're saying and what Logan was saying, the people in the Epstein files, part of what the real disgusting thing about it is this was a network. There was women trafficked, right? Yeah. So they are in vulnerable positions and they're trafficked. So, all right, you got some wealthy, powerful people that are, creeps, some of them rapists, right? Some of them have certain proclivities, but it's the system that was allowed to be in place for a long time that enabled this shit, which is clearly what's going on in Lecher County.
Yeah.
It's a systemic problem. And so you have to root out these systemic problems that enable this type of shit to happen. And when there's all this power and money behind it, it makes it all the more difficult.
Yeah.
Right. And we know that it's worldwide, because look at that woman that John Ray was talking about when he was on a couple of weeks ago.
From Sweden or whatever.
Right.
Right. And she was piping in women from Sweden to the United States for the Epstein operation. So it's not just here, it's everywhere. And it's scary stuff.
Yeah, it is. It's a systemic problem, and the powerful and the wealthy are so protected from ever getting prosecuted. If you're a
Right.
billionaire in this world, you're not going to prison. And if you do, it's going to be a slap on the wrist, and you'll probably get out, right? And you'll go to a really cushy, place. You won't serve time like any regular citizen would. And it's just disgusting, man. Because it speaks to a much bigger problem.
Look how much
Well,
Diddy
and it's
got.
not
Diddy got
even-
away with it.
I'm sorry.
Right.
Sorry, Robin.
Right.
Oh no, I was just gonna say with Ben Steins, he spent what, 6 months in jail? That was it.
Fields. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
who
Ben
did I
Fields.
say?
I do. You're doing what I
I'm
did. I said
combining,
conflate-
I'm combining people. Oh my
Dry
God.
eyes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
I just-
yeah,
Diddy got away with a bunch of stuff too.
yeah.
I mean-
and look at Matt.
Mhm.
Look at what just happened with. Look what happened with Maxine.
Yeah.
She got a
Right.
whole. She got moved to a different location now. She's got a nice cushy cell. It's why.
I'm going to ask a question that I hope I can articulate this. In Ben Field's case, I want to ask how you feel about whether or not how do I explain this? Is it a good thing or a bad thing that juries don't get to see the full picture? They only get to see what's allowed into the courtroom. And let me give you an example from Ben Field's case. In Ben Field's first criminal trial, they used text messages from a female, Sabrina Atkins, flirting with this deputy as proof that it was a relationship. Look, she flirts with them. She talks about wanting sex from them. She brought it on herself. It's consensual. It's a relationship. Ultimately, they concluded that was not a consensual relationship because of his position of authority. We've covered all that. But now comes the civil trial, and they're weeks away from the civil trial. And they have again tried to bring in the history between the two of them in text messages as, look, she was flirting with me. It was consensual. And the counter argument from her team was, it was inappropriate the first time to bring it up. It's inappropriate again. Now, I ask you this. We know that because he was in uniform, it was non-consensual. But should the jury never know? Should the jury never know that she flirted with them and sent pictures and maybe topless photos or without her top off because it's quote unquote legally irrelevant? Or should the jury have all the facts to decide if they think it's relevant? Well, because maybe somebody in the jury would be like, well, she did kind of flirt with them. Like, at what point do we defend this system that much of what gets into the court system, gets into trial, isn't the full story? The juries aren't deciding on the full story of what really happened. They're only deciding on what was allowed to be presented. And so it's a double-edged sword. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is the question.
I get what you're
is it better
saying.
for the jury to have everything and then decide for themselves what was relevant or not? Or is it okay that we pre-trial rule some things out or inadmissible and we're not going to talk about that because it'll taint the jury, but maybe it should have tainted? Like, what do you guys feel about that?
I have two things to say if I can real fast. Somebody said, why am I not posting comments when people pay? I haven't seen anything come through.
No, I haven't either.
I saw one person say my comments aren't showing up, and I don't know. But I saw that comment. My comments aren't showing up, but I saw that comment saying my comments aren't showing up. So I don't know.
We did get a $9.99 super chat, and it says, has anyone on the panel actually read the Epstein files? For you all to say he was not a pedo is not only misinformation, but incredibly dangerous. It's shocking and disappointing y'all would say that. Insane. I don't know. Maybe they're talking about that one.
We just explained why the definition is not accurate. And yet somebody still...
Yeah.
And so cool. I'm glad that they gave money. I feel bad, but we literally explained it is an incorrect definition. It's so I don't know.
That didn't come from my side. So
I clarified that I am not saying that there was no pedophilia involved in the Epstein files. What I said was, when referring to particular instances in the case on the mainstream media and a lot of people online, they were using the wrong terminology. I just to be clear, you guys all heard me. I specifically said that I was not saying that there was no pedophilia.
Right.
I was saying that when they are referring to specific things within the
Right.
Epstein files, they were using the wrong terminology.
And not only that, and again, I'm not defending I mean, I feel like we're on a slippery slope. I'm not defending Epstein, but I think the youngest victim that he was accused of was something like 14, which again does not fall into the realm of pedophilia. So I don't know like how somebody can come at me and say, you're dangerous for not saying he's a pedophile. Like he didn't even have a victim that was under the age of, I think, 14, maybe 12. And even then wouldn't fall into the definition, wouldn't fall under the def. So it's a word we use because, and this is my bitch. It's a word we use because it makes people angry. People hate pedophiles, and so if you label somebody a pedophile, they hate them already.
Right,
it's a way to prejudice people against somebody without whether it's accurate or not. You just you drop the word, and all of a sudden everybody hates the guy.
And it has a very
again, I'm not defending his actions.
Yeah, it has a very specific definition. If it's used to accuse someone or someone is kind of charged with a certain thing, it had unfortunately, like the English language, people use words wrongly all the time.
Right. And if you're supposed to be a journalist,
definition. Right.
That's the thing.
should
If you're
know
a journalist,
the difference.
Yes.
Now, anybody that could thought I was pretty clear when I explained it, is that if you want to have credibility, and I said these are predators, there are some pedophiles, it's a trafficking operation. But if you are going to speak about a specific topic that has very specific things that have been studied, right? I have the DSM-5 sitting right here. I can read the definitions if people want. So I was just making a point that a lot, like you're supposed to be people who have journalistic integrity and knowledge. Well, when you speak about something, you sound like a moron when you can't even break it down and explain it properly to people.
Yeah,
and that's in reference to mainstream media reporters.
Yeah,
right. So, yeah.
And that's my bitch. Like, again, I feel super bad because I know some people are just going to take this whole show and say all we did is defend pedophiles all night long. But that's the thing, Joe. Like, mainstream media, if they educated the public, people wouldn't be making these mistakes. But the public continues to make the mistakes because mainstream media is not educating the public on the proper use of the words. They could easily solve this and say, well, technically, this is but they never do. They don't correct it. They allow the lies.
Right. And look,
language to continue.
I think you should fucking hang all those scumbags. Okay. Just to be clear. Okay. Nobody's fucking been, I've been on that case for a while. But I was just trying to, if you want to speak about things, you have to, especially things that have a very specific, psychiatric definition, you have to at least know what you're talking about. Yeah. I'm not a quote unquote journalist, and I'm not a PhD, yet I know the difference. I did study this stuff in college. So anybody who's misinterpreting what we're saying, you're being very broad strokes. You're not listening to what we're really trying to say.
It's the same thing when we bring up any of the autopsy stuff that comes down. Like when whatever it was, like a week ago, there was a very specific reason when we were covering, the different experts, why in the beginning I went over the definition of what they were using as blood spatter and different terminology. So you may have an understanding. I know what blood spatter is. I know what cast off is. So it doesn't matter if you may think you know what cast off is, but you have to know what is they're writing a report that's being used, a legal report that's being used for a case. What are the experts? What is the definition that they are going by? All
right, real quick, we've got a couple of donations flying in, and I don't want to let them go too far behind. So
thank you, Stephen, for that. I appreciate that very much, brother. And Legendary, your test worked. Thank you for that. And to respond to Maria's comment, that one showed up on Bronx Tales side of things for that one from the horse's mouth.
Yes. Thank you from the horse's mouth. I appreciate that. Also, Kawanda sent another super chat, $1.99, that says the youngest was not 14. What the hell or what the heck? And then another one for $4.99. Thank you. I appreciate it. It says, JJ, you're doing exactly what you're preaching. You don't know what you're talking about. You clearly haven't read the files. Awful. I have a PhD, by the way.
Again, I
don't-
specifically said, so this person is not, they want to lump everything together. I specifically said, and everybody heard me, I am not saying there was no pedophilia involved in any of the Epstein files. So I don't know where this person's coming from. You know, whatever.
Yeah.
They want to be
Yeah.
outraged about something, but some people just don't want to listen to what you say.
Listen,
Yeah.
listen.
Yeah, listen. Well, I'll tell you this. This is showing what I was afraid of. When we talk about this topic, people lose their minds and they can't anytime you involve these topics, people start getting really upset because they feel a
They
certain way.
do. Well,
Words and
people
then-
get people get very emotional, but you have to listen to what someone is saying. Listen to the people get very passionate about some of these some of the topics. So you gotta listen to the words that someone is saying.
Yeah.
So I respectfully disagree that
Yeah,
I don't
and
think I was doing that. I think I was pretty clear, and that's all I have to say about that.
Robin,
Yeah.
you were trying to say something. What do you want to say?
Oh, I was just going to say, knowing these definitions is very important when you're discussing cases because of the courts. You have to
Right.
use the correct terminology in a court of law.
Yeah.
So, everyone who's working on a case or in the media, they should definitely be using the correct terminology.
That's all.
Otherwise, I mean, you're talking about people's lives, whether it's the victim's lives, whether it's the person who's on trial, their life, because they do deserve a defense. And so it's important to know these things. And if you're following cases, you should know the correct terminology so that you are clear about what is actually happening in the case.
And
So,
I think
it is important to know the correct definitions.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
think a perfect example of a situation like that where it's misrepresented is all I'm saying is like in the sentencing hearing for Brian Koberger when Olivia Stevenson stood up and she called him a pedophile. There was nothing
Yeah.
in relation
Yeah.
to
The girls were in their 20s. Yeah,
there was
you can't
nothing in
even
relation to
remotely.
that. And I think all that, and I'm not trying to again, I just want to say how I took this. All that JJ he was referring to the news media misrepresenting things to the world when they come out and broadcast to us. And that statement was just that one specific terminology being abused per se, not put out in a proper form, and people misunderstand it in some senses. There was nothing about what he said where he was defending it, nothing about what he said where he was saying that it makes it any less horrible. He said, I think they should hang them all. So that's if it was misheard, it happens. I understand that, but that's exactly what I took him saying. So
yeah,
and it was just about the media being such garbage that they misrepresent things to people to create a narrative, to run propaganda, to be able to, in some senses, not all, because in some senses it needs to be done, but in some senses it convicts people in the court of public opinion without there needing to be that happening. So
that's why it's so important in the Epstein thing in particular. And the reason being is that I feel mainstream media had a vested interest to protect high-level politicians that were wrapped up in the Epstein files. And by shutting people's brains down, by calling him a pedophile, it shut people's brains down. They stopped fucking listening. Fuck that guy. He's a pedophile. I don't care if he was. People just shut their brain off. And that's exactly what media did. They wanted you to shut their brain off.
That's
so they
what
use
they
a word they know it's highly charged, and you will be, if you even try to correct it, you're defending a monster. No, we're defending fucking vocabulary. Understand the word.
And also, if someone's a PhD, then they should listen to what people say specifically.
I would think you would understand it better. Yes.
Yeah, you guys heard me. I specifically made a point to say that. So for them to go off like that, it seems like they're just looking, for a reason to be outraged.
I kind of a little bit agree. And I don't mean to be like So if I didn't finish my degree, but I went into psychology as my chosen field, and I went through all master's level psychology things. So psychology was my thing. I learned the definition of what that word meant, and it's not what people are using it for. So when somebody with a PhD tells me I don't know that they were saying this, but they're saying I don't understand the definition of that word. I do understand the definition of that word. That's like I aced all my classes in psychology. I understand, like, anyways, the point being is that
the statement was directed at media and media alone, and that's all it was.
media,
There was no defense of any kind of pedophilia or anything within that statement. So no, my wife has 2 degrees. That's 4, 2.
Being that
psychology, so I know all about that stuff too.
You mentioned Olivia. Again, not attacking the victims, and we all feel horrible, but. Isn't it like the statements that they give? Don't they have to get like approval for their statements?
Yeah.
Doesn't someone have to review it? I can't. I'm shocked that they allowed her to even.
Can I speak on that real quick?
Is that accurate? Like, don't they have to be reviewed?
They're supposed to do that, which is why I believe that Steve Gonsalves Jr. saved his for outside of the courtroom. If you think about what he spoke on. I think that they allowed a little more slack to that family because they knew that they did not receive what they wanted, that they didn't get what they deserved. And that's why they kind of readjusted the courtroom. They allowed applause within the courtroom and certain things like that because they gave them a little bit more slack because of the situation, in my opinion, 1-1. So either way, it's still wrong. It shouldn't have happened.
Well, in addition to that, I feel how the victims feel about it and what they want to label it, that they don't need to correct her incorrect use of the term. Like they're allowing her the space to vent her frustration, and so I think they allowed a little grace. So it wasn't one of those things like they fact check her to be like, well, technically you didn't use that word correctly. Like that's not their job. If she feels that he's that and she wants to call him every name in the book and talk about how you're going to get the big D in prison and good for you and all that stuff. If you want to do that shit, then they allow them the grace to do that and say, you know what, vent. Here's your moment. Say whatever you want to fucking say to him and get off the stage.
And that's basically how I saw that go down because we all knew, okay, that's not what Brian Koberger did within that case. Right. And it was put out there to make a statement to, in my opinion, to pull a reaction from Brian. They were hoping that he would react to the things they were saying, which he didn't do. They didn't get, and I think they were angry because of that. They wanted to present their anger for their loss. They wanted him to feel some kind of pain sitting there at that table for their loss. None of that happened. So in turn, that's what we ended up with.
Yeah.
DA, I'll be right back in a sec.
And even I, sure, no problem. Even I, like a lot of people really got mad at the way the families kind of did their victim impact statements and how it was inappropriate with that. Even I was kind of like, I'll give them that, right? I mean, something horrible happened. If they want to say he's a monster and whatever they believe, then give them that moment.
They deserve to be angry.
There's a moment, right? They deserve to have some, even if it's not correct or whatever, because it's the only chance they get. Fucking, you can humor them for 10 minutes and let them do their little speech, So I kind of cut it a little slack, but
real quick to speak to the statement that was made by Straight from the Horse's Mouth. It was directed at me. It came from another chat, but it was directed at me. I did see that Jack D was the first suspect in the case.
Yeah, I saw that question.
I don't think that, or he was the first person of interest, I should say, and or suspect. I don't honestly see that he had anything to do with it. I've looked, believe me, just to refer back to your statement. I'm curious about why they went. I mean, I know why they looked at him first because he's the spouse, the boyfriend, whatever, ex-boyfriend. That's automatic. But I do have questions about him. I just don't think that he personally hands-on went into that house and did anything. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with that. I never really looked at him that way. In the beginning, you think the first person you think of is, a breakup, significant other that's angry now because you broke up and she's out at the bar now. She shows up in a brand new decent car and maybe, but when I then saw him on body camera and things like that, I was like, nah.
It doesn't line up or fit for me. You know what I mean?
It doesn't.
Now, I was curious. Don't get me wrong. When I realized they put out there that they hadn't fingerprinted him until what was that, May of this past year?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
did question that. I was like, what the hell's going on with that?
Right.
And that there was blood found within his apartment that, according to the documents, it didn't match up to anything of importance. But I still wonder on those things. But again, when I look at him and I look at the situation, I just don't put him in that situation that way.
And I guess where I'm at with that, and I've said this before too, is that regardless of how, like, it seems like most of America or the world, let's even say this is an international case, doesn't feel like Jack D's the guy. So most of the world feels that way.
Right.
However, I've said, and I say it again, he should have been the number one suspect. Because you always look, if they thought Kaylee was the target, and I think they did, then you would look at the jealous ex-boyfriend, ex-spouse, jilted lover, whatever, as the very first person. So if he wasn't suspect number one, there's a problem in that case. Now, if you want to rule him out and say, hey, look, he passed the sniff test, we've ran it everywhere. But again, then you start like, well, then why didn't you test the blood in the house? Why did it take you months to do his fingerprints? If he really was treated as suspect number one, why did it take you so long to get around to that?
Thank you.
I say Steve Gonzalez said certain people were ruled out too early. I see signs of Steve Gonzalez not trusting Jack DeCoeur. He forced him to strip down and show that he didn't have wounds, so he didn't trust him. So I'm not the only asshole who thought Jack DeCoeur should have been primary suspect number one. Now, if when you now like, hey, he's innocent, he couldn't have done it. That's great. I mean, maybe, but it should have been. He should have been suspect.
Yes, and let me say something else too, real quick. Guys, YouTube has had some issues over the past week that we have no control over. Okay, they've been very, very weird. They're removing a lot of people's comments that we're not doing. Our moderators are very laid back. They don't remove a comment unless it's real, like, severe. Okay, so I'm telling you right now that they're not removing comments. It's YouTube doing that for whatever reason, and they've had some glitches going on throughout the week. They were shut down for a period of time. They're having this problem, that problem. So understand, I deeply apologize for, I think we all do, for any issues you may be having, but it's not us. It is YouTube having their issues, guys. So my apologies.
I would also guess by the nature of our conversation tonight, which has been really, really sketchy adult conversations, right? That might be getting flagged by censors and bots, right? Because if somebody's saying something with the words that are like, they're like, oh, this show's going off the rails. They're talking about, so maybe it's even worse right now because of the subject matter. But
they're very critical about certain statements that people make. They remove more comments than they leave sometimes. My mods told me about a show that we had earlier in the week where they were taking everything out. So they have bots, guys. Remember that. They're not human. They're not perfect. They're going to make mistakes too. So that's probably what's going on.
Well, yeah, I agree with you, Dago, that I think Steve G definitely was super suspect of Jack D. You can see when they did that special vigil or whatever, that special ceremony at the campus,
up wherever it was, at the church,
and when they walked off stage, and you see how Steve G looks when Jack D is on stage with them, and you see the way he looks at him. Yeah, you see it. You could see it.
Yeah, and he kind of walked his family, like put his arm around his family and walked away from him. And I don't know what that was all about, but I do remember seeing that.
And yet at some point, somebody apparently convinced him that either he had passed all the sniff test or it wasn't in his best interest to continue to push that narrative, one of the two. And so they moved away from that, and that is what it is. So,
well, it could be one of those, definitely one of those for sure. So.
Did any of you have a chance to read much of the WSU lawsuit papers that kind of got filed today about the jurisdiction issues and stuff?
I didn't see any of it.
No,
I read. No, it's like it's 22. I put it back. It's backstage. I
didn't even know they dropped it.
Yeah, so
I put it there.
I only read the first page of one of two documents, and the gist of the first page was the families or the attorneys for the families are fighting the move of the jurisdiction to Eastern Washington. They said, no, the appropriate venue is Western Washington where we filed it, and they're fighting the move and say it's inappropriate. So they filed like a 50-page or maybe it was a 20-page document saying it was inappropriate to move, and so they're fighting back. And I don't know, when I started to read their argument, I couldn't understand the argument, just like doing a quick read and not diving into every nuance. Like, what I'll tell you this is it sent off my bullshit detector. Like, why are they fighting it being moved to where it should be, which is where all the victims and all the people and everybody that's going to be interviewed and everybody's going to have to go to court is all in Eastern Washington. Why would they even fight that? And so that tells me there's a reason. So now I'm curious.
Yeah,
why don't they want it moved to where it should be?
One of the reasons they gave they list a whole bunch of stuff. One of them, they say that it's easier to fly into Seattle airport, that there's more flights and stuff.
It is cheaper probably to fly into Seattle than Moscow airport. Yeah.
You know.
The jury pool. There you go. Wazkowski might have a point. Like the jury will be different. The jury pool will be different in Eastern Washington. I mean, Washington State, like Oregon, is very polarized. The west side of the state is very Democratic, big city. That's where Seattle's at, and the cities tend to be more Democratic. The east side of the states tend to be more Republican and more rural and churchy and whatever. But you would think that would serve them better to have it in a jury pool with more Christian, conservative, angry at sex offenders kind of thing than the liberal city. So that doesn't make entire sense to me, but it is an interesting observation.
There is one thing I did see, Lee, within that seemed kind of interesting, that the witnesses that they have listed for this include Brian Koberger's names. That their witness list has Brian listed as one of their possible witnesses.
He's in there.
I thought that was kind of interesting.
So I'm trying to read this question. DA or anyone, did WSU sign or decide or fire Brian after his work that semester was done for Christmas? And if so, I'd like to know the date on the paper. So I think I understand the basic question. Brian Koberger was working as a teaching assistant. He got money for that. They had reprimanded him a few times for things, but after he had left with his father to go back to back east, at some point, Dago's saying no. At some point, they fired.
My understanding is, I'm sorry to interrupt. I didn't mean to, but my understanding is that Brian was not terminated as a teaching assistant until he was arrested. So he was coming back from Pennsylvania to go back to work as a TA because he had done the whole, what do we call that, probationary plan they put him on, or whatever the hell it was. So that never happened until his name, or he was arrested, and then after that is when he was terminated. So
and that's where I was going with it, which is that he left with his job intact, and every indication was that he was going to come back expecting to still have his job. They at some point, and that's my point I was going to make. Was it at the point that they already determined he was the lead suspect that they decided to terminate him? Because they're trying to make the basis, look, we fired him because we knew he was a problem before you ever identified him as a killer, kind of thing. And I would say it's the other way around. They had knew he was identified as the killer, and then they fired him, kind of thing. So it is which came first, the chicken or the egg? Does anybody else have any on our panel have the actual timing of when that letter came in? I know it was after he left. He left already, went back home before they wrote the letter firing him from the program. But
I have it buried somewhere. I don't know the exact date, and I'm sorry I interrupted you. I didn't mean to. I thought that was
no worries.
Direction. So
no, that's good.
He left his computer, his TV, a bunch of other shit in his apartment. He was coming back, you guys. So
absolutely,
if you're terminated, you're not going to leave all that stuff. So
no,
I'm asking a question real quick.
No, he would have boxed it up and shipped it.
Right.
So according to this, and this may not be accurate, this is a quick study, a quick question. Brian Koberger was terminated from his teaching position on December 19th. So for date wise, that's after the date that FBI identified Brian Koberger for the lead suspect, and then he was fired by the universities. That may make a difference for some people. So again, I don't even think that's the date that he got the paperwork on it, because they kind of mailed
so
him
either. I don't think it came till way after that.
Yeah. Good question. And that was part of and to me, that's part of the whole cover your ass thing. Like, if you know he's going to be the lead suspect in a quadruple homicide, fire him real quick and say, hey, we knew,
right.
There was a problem with that guy. We don't want to have anything to do with it.
Yeah, that's a very weird.
A lot of narrative shaping happened after after they knew who he was, then all of a sudden it was like, oh yeah, you know what? He had a lot of problem with students. And oh yeah, you know what? He was kind of a stalker. And oh yeah, you know what? We had to reprimand him. And oh yeah, like all that came out after he was identified as the lead suspect, which makes you wonder, is it provable in court that it was going on before he was identified?
That's one of the main issues I have when I started reading the initial lawsuit, when they started dropping all this stuff and all these complaints, quote unquote, that were in the other documents that came out about him. I immediately got pissed off because I read that and see that as I wanted to see exact dates that things were filed with WSU, when the investigation, if there was one, started, all of that stuff, because I do not believe that 90% of that stuff came to fruition or came to the table until after that man was arrested for the crime that, you know, he was accused of, because I just don't believe it happened. I think people saw this happen and said, I told you,
Yep.
when they started spitting all this shit out.
Right.
So,
yeah, there was like reshaping of the narrative afterwards.
Right.
And that's Ange K asked what date was he pulled over in Indiana. I believe that was December 15th. It was the same day that Brent Kopacka was shot and killed in Pullman. That was because the father said when they were pulled over, hey, we just heard about this shooting on campus where my son goes to school. So that was the day that happened,
Right.
December 15th, I believe.
What I find strange is out in Pennsylvania, during Kohberger's entire life, there was never one statement of him being strange to women or any of the things that are going on in Washington or that went on in Washington while he was a TA. There's not one statement or report or anything, like a complaint, anything. But then suddenly he moves out to Washington and we don't hear anything about it until after they say he committed this crime.
And that's my point. Like, so two big stories came out. One, a woman who claimed, oh, you know what? I think Kohberger came into the strip club in Pennsylvania where I was at and talked about how he wanted to kill women. And all that happened after Brian Kohberger was identified. Oh, you know what? I think I saw that guy and I think I gave him a lap dance. I made a big joke out about that on a stream one time. And then there was another woman that kind of said, hey, he was creepy. He would come into my place in Pennsylvania kind of thing. And then later on, after he was identified, they started looking to Brian Kohberger's, possibly was he involved with a missing woman in Pennsylvania? But they tried to spin that in the media as if all those things were things that happened before Kohberger was identified. They were events that were, it was a retroactive thing. Oh, now that I've seen you got this creepy guy arrested for these murders, I had an interaction with him before those murders, and let me tell you about that. And then the media ran with that, like before he was identified as the killer. No, the story didn't come out until after he was identified as the killer. And then people were talking about, oh yeah, I remember weeks before that he did this, this, and this. And then mainstream loved jumping all over the weeks before this. He was seen at this bar, blah, 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 blah. Like, but the story didn't come out until after he was identified. And it makes a difference.
So they want to depose 9 additional witnesses that all have to do from Pennsylvania.
The family does?
Yeah. So they want, right. So in addition to, they say there's 69 witnesses identified on the list plaintiffs provided to the state in November 2025. 32 reside in the Eastern District and 37 reside outside of the Eastern District. So the 9 additional witnesses in Pennsylvania, it's Kohberger's family, mother, father, and sister.
I was going to say, that's going to be someone.
A school administrator that removed Kohberger from a trade school program due to complaints from female students. Kohberger's criminology professor at DeSales University. At least 2 female employees of a local business that raised concerns about Kohberger's behavior, and 2 forensic examiners that examined Kohberger's devices after the murders. That would be the what's their name? The Rembrandts or Birnbrand, whatever their name. Those are that's the husband and wife, I believe.
The Celebrate.
The Celebrate guy, yeah. I'm pretty sure they're talking about them
for the forensics. Yeah. So I mean, and again, like with Kathleen Ramsland, I get why they're doing that, and I get why they're doing the family, because they're going to testify the whole, he had a drug history, and the family knew he stole his sister's phone and all that. They're going to use all that against him. The 2 women who worked at a restaurant is that story that I believe came out after Kohberger was identified, where they said, oh yeah, I had this creepy guy. I saw him on TV. He's this creepy guy that did. So again, the challenge for them will be able to prove that those girls had a problem with him and reported it before he was identified as the lead suspect, or did they come up with this story after he was identified and now they're going to be like, let's bring these people in to say that they knew this creepy guy beforehand? But was it reported beforehand, or was it reported after somebody said he's the creepy guy and they're like, oh yeah, I can come out as another witness to say I saw that creepy guy do something creepy in my place?
Well, the fact that it's a civil case and that he pled guilty to the crime, I think even with an absence of evidence, because of the lower standard for the civil case, even though there might be a lot of inconsistencies and maybe not the strongest evidence about all that stuff, they could still win the case because it's a lower standard. Plus he pled guilty. Right. So any juror is going to know that he pled guilty, right, in the thing. So in the criminal case. Yeah. So, or pled, he didn't confess, so to speak.
Right.
Officially, he took a plea deal. But he took a plea deal. Yeah. So he didn't plead guilty from the start. He took a plea deal. But I think that regardless, even if a lot of that information you guys are just going through is bullshit, a jury would likely still convict him, unless that what a lot of people have talked about is that if more things come out to show inconsistency in the actual evidence that was presented in the criminal case.
Well, JJ, I think you're right. I think he'll be found. Because I believe the Ron and the custody queens that were on with Dago, Ron was talking about. So remember, a civil case, it's only the preponderance of evidence. So you really only have to have 51%.
Yeah.
Over 49%.
Instead of beyond
this type of case,
yeah.
I agree with you 100%. He will be found guilty in this.
Well, yeah, not case, him.
Unless.
But
not I mean, he'll be found. It'll be found.
No, that's what I meant to say.
Yeah, they'll be fine. They'll be found liable, unless there is some kind of there is a deposition from someone like Ray or something that factually proves without a doubt 100% that he could not have done the crime.
Well, let's keep in mind something. I want to clarify, because maybe I'm misunderstanding, or you're misunderstanding, or somebody's misunderstanding. The lawsuit isn't going to be about whether Kohberger did it or not. The lawsuit is really about could WSU have stopped it if they had followed their own procedures, because they've conceded. WSU has conceded that Brian Kohberger did the murders. What they're being sued over is you should have seen it coming, and if you had followed your own procedures, you could have stopped it. So
and they're claiming that they did.
Right. But if they depose Ray and he says that Kohberger, because he hasn't even been able to speak. So if he can factually prove without a doubt that BK wasn't even there, I think that would be enough to prove to a jury that BK shouldn't. He's not guilty. He shouldn't be guilty. If there's something that's 100% that proves that we already know from Bill Thompson, right? He said, well, we can't place him at the house. We can place him near the house. But if there's some kind of evidence, something else that factually proves without a doubt that he was not there,
right? But
they're not liable then.
The problem is with that is that's why I don't think that they're going to be bringing him forth, because like DA said, they're saying, although we do know that Brian did this, which they have to say because he took a plea deal. We all know that.
Right. Correct.
Even they're saying now it could be something that would pop up later on. And they're like, surprise, guess what we have? Here's this and this.
Yeah.
And that takes him completely out of the picture. But I don't think that's their direct approach at this moment.
And what I was really trying to the point, I guess, that I didn't do a great job of making is that, let's just say he didn't take a plea deal, and let's say he got exonerated, he was acquitted. They could still have filed a civil suit if there's enough evidence
Oh yeah,
to show that he was he
definitely,
was responsible.
of course.
The fact
Yeah,
that
OJ, right?
he took the
OJ's
plea
the main
deal,
case.
then it's going to make a jury on behalf of the plaintiffs more likely to side with them, because if the school, even though they can prove that or show evidence that they did the right thing, and there would have been no way for them to prevent anything from happening, a jury can still side with the plaintiff based on the fact that he took a plea deal. It's just psychologically that's just human behavior. They might still, even though the case may be weak against WSU.
Well, and I want to get to the Cy Ray
Yeah.
question that's here on the screen, but I want to say one more thing about the WSU thing. If they get evidence that more than one person did the crime, their out is to say we couldn't have stopped this crime because
Right.
it wasn't just Brian Koberger. It was him and somebody else. And therefore, even if we had stopped Koberger, it still would have happened because other people would have killed those people in the house, right? So they have a vested interest to say it wasn't Koberger and Koberger alone, because even if we had stopped him, even if we had somehow been able to magically predict that he was about to do this, other people were involved and it still would have gone through. So you can't hold us accountable for something.
Right.
That was, because the families are trying to say it was preventable. It was a preventable murder. It could have been stopped. And so if WSU can prove it couldn't have been stopped because Koberger didn't do it alone, there was other people and they would have gotten killed anyways, then that's an out for them as well.
And all WSU has to do is if any complaints were filed beforehand, okay, about Brian Koberger, they take this based on the wording that I read from them. They take the Title IX situation very serious. And all they have to show is documentation that they approached Brian, had a conversation. They tried to deal with the situation the way their laws or whatever tells them to do. That's it. That defends them in that aspect, because then how would they have any idea he would do this then? How would they have any idea that he was this person when it was all dealt with per se, moved on? You know what I mean? So
Right.
that's their defense in that aspect, unless they're going, which I think they're going deeper with it, and they're going to completely clear their name, in my opinion, if they can. That's what I think they're trying to do.
Here's
So
the thing, though. We've got okay, it's a small town, right? But we've got, within a matter of just a few years, we have at least 5 reports of 5 different people running around either stabbing people, committing these crimes and people dying, threatening people with a knife, saying they're going to kill people. The night before, somebody breaks into another girl's apartment and stands over her with a knife in a black mask. What are the odds of this? Or are these actually more connected than we know or think? Could it be the same person? That's a small town. I mean, in 2019, I think it was 2019, somebody broke into a husband and wife's home as they were sleeping at 4 a.m, stabbed them both. The wife ended up living
in Oregon, right?
Yep.
Yeah, but not super far away, but yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, and that's my point, Logan. I mean, that we've made this point before. That's, in my opinion, all of those things you just listed, among a dozen other things, is reasonable doubt for days. If a jury had heard any of those about a guy that broke in and was in a ski mask standing, because that did happen. That's on the record. Somebody else broke into a co-ed's room and stood over her while she was sleeping and she had to kick him and he got, ran off. That's on the record, and it wasn't Koberger. So that's reasonable doubt for days for people. How do you know it wasn't that guy that just did that thing? So here's the funny thing. They robbed everyone of a trial by the plea deal thing. And so therefore that would have been, if that had gone to trial, there would have been reasonable doubt for ages on a plethora of things, but they robbed everybody with the plea deal. And now it's like, well, fuck it. You don't get to hear all the alternate theories.
And bingo. That's exactly with, I'm glad Logan said that too, because that's the point. Like if you're a jury, sitting on a jury and you hear that what she said happened, and I can't think of the guy's name. Tomboy just brought the other one up, the stabbing of the elderly woman in Washington. There's multiple.
Oh, that's right. That one too.
Right. Yeah. Multiple situations that happen. If a jury hears that and then you hear about this guy that has nothing, Who are they going to think of? I mean, come on. They knew that in the prosecution. Which is why I believe that this plea deal was planned from the beginning. I'm just saying. They knew they didn't have a case as compared to all this other bullshit that was bouncing around this area. So
let me answer for because somebody asked about Cy Ray, because we get this a lot. Because when we start talking about what Cy Ray may know or whatever and how he can break this case, why can't we reach out to Cy Ray? Because he's fucking under gag order still. and because Hitler called him a conspiracy theorist, even though the guy literally wrote the book on timing advance records, taught people, wrote the software for it. He is not just, as I say all the time, he was not just an expert. He's the expert in timing advance records. And so that's why we can't reach out to Cy Ray. He is literally gagged and cannot speak officially to anyone.
He's scheduled to be the first place he's going is with Lana over at Truth and Transparency. As soon as he can, he's doing an interview with her and can't wait to get out there to speak on this, but he can't do it until he can actually do it. That's the problem. So,
and I will tell you one interesting rumor. Let me 100% say this again. It's a rumor. It got brought up on our show when Twizzle Sticks, right? He came up on our show, and I know he's had interactions with Cy Ray. I've seen Cy Ray on YouTube say, "Twiz, don't get me in trouble again for our conversations." Right. We had conversations. Twiz is correct. He has spoken to Cy Ray about this case. Now, here's the rumor part that I can't prove. Twiz says he spoke to Cy Ray, and Cy Ray says, "I guarantee you, Koberger wasn't even there that night. He was not in Moscow that night," and essentially can prove it. But they won't let him fucking talk. They won't let him talk.
To back that up, Twiz told me that, because Twiz is the one that helped me build my computer, you guys. He told me that years ago and said that, like, here's the thing. I'm trying to say, like, for somebody to make something like that up, knowing that the person that he's saying told him that can come out right and say, "I never told him that." That'd be kind of dumb. So that's all the point I'm trying to make. Like, I can't imagine he would make something like that up if it didn't happen. So,
yeah. But take it with a grain of salt, because technically he's not allowed to talk about that publicly and admit that he said that or didn't say that, because he's not allowed to talk about it. So, but that's what a lot of people are waiting for is, will they ever take the leash off of Cy Ray and allow him to talk? And if he does talk, will he overturn the case merely by proof? Again, let me reiterate something else I say all the time. People focus on Brian Koberger took a plea deal and he waived his rights to appeal. Mm-hmm. But what people don't understand, a lot of people don't understand, is a plea deal is null and void if you could not have done the things you pled guilty to. So I don't give a fuck if Brian Koberger said he did it and he did it alone. If it's proven he could not have done it because he was somewhere else, and it can be proven he was somewhere else, the plea deal is off. It's done. So it doesn't matter if you waive your rights to appeal. If you could not have done the things you pled guilty to, it's off.
And think about what Lee just said. Everybody said, "Oh my God, why did he take this deal? Why did he do this? Why did he do that?" Think about what Lee just said. If Brian Koberger and or his attorneys knew that at some point in time, this man can come forward and prove a point that he was here, he couldn't have been there at that same time, and here's the proof. Guess what? It means that that's void. It never happened. It doesn't exist. And that would be a very comfortable way to give your team the time to do this kind of shit, to prove this kind of shit, when you can't get a continuance, when you can't get anything handed to you from the,
I love what you just added, Dago. I love what you just added, because think about this. You don't think Ann Taylor talked to Cy Ray about what exactly Cy Ray knows? Ann Taylor knows exactly what Cy Ray knows and how he feels about it. So you're right. If Cy told her, "Look, put me on the stand and I'll prove to you Koberger couldn't have done it," and she was planning on it, but Hitler said, "Nope, he's a conspiracy theory. We don't need to hear from him," then there may have come a time when she said, "Well, look, same thing you just said. Your plea deal, you can say whatever you want, but that plea deal is null and void as soon as they allow Cy Ray to talk." Because as soon as he says that you couldn't have been there, you could have said you fucking did whatever the hell you want. It's off. So maybe there was a part where they just said, "You know what, go ahead and plead guilty," because
100%.
This guy's, as soon as they talk, you're out.
That's where my mind has been since this happened, because of that. And I'm going to say one more thing, and then I promise you I'll shut up for a minute. Think about what Hitler did to Cy Ray. Think about what Hitler said about Cy Ray. This man has 30 plus years experience in this field. He created this field. He's got a reputation that is his life. It's
Yeah.
based on his life, folks, his career, all of it. Do you not think he's going to come forward to defend himself at some point when he has the option to correct what that judge
course.
said? In my opinion, I absolutely at some point. So,
Well, one thing I
waiting
wanted to mention is that we all, I think, speculate that there's some kind of a cover up at play. I think most of us probably would agree with that. Well, what are the reasons that law enforcement, whether it be local or federal or whatever, would either frame somebody or cover things up? Well, it's because they are trying, they may be implicated in some way. And I'm not saying direct involvement. Let's say that a CI, just for example, just for a theory, that they had been working with was the one who was guilty.
Yeah.
Now, I would say, playing devil's advocates with myself, well, how could the feds allow that to be covered up? But if they would go to the lengths of, if they were involved in some operations in the area and there were CIs, and one of the CIs, which we know how they get CIs, typically not angels in many cases, they're people who got busted for something. And if they, and just like the discussion of a potential CI within the house, they don't want that to get out, that a CI that they were working with was involved in crimes. On the one hand, on the other hand, that a CI that they were working with was murdered because of that. So I just try to look at, if we look at it and it looks like a cover up, then why? What are the reasons why they're covering up? Why all the lies? Why all the inconsistencies? Well, it's because they're trying to hide something they don't want the public to know about, them and the school, right? The school, it may be a student, you know, and the school does not want it to come out that a potential CI was guilty of a quadruple homicide.
And the book
Especially
Framed, which we talk about,
Especially the contract.
the book Framed we talk about, and Brent Turvey, the forensic specialist, both said that law enforcement will sometimes implicate the wrong person on purpose to protect their CI. They don't want to burn their CI. And so they've been known, it's happened before, where law enforcement will prosecute the wrong guy knowing it's the wrong person to protect their CI. So
what do you, Robin and Logan, because you've both have been real quiet. What do you guys think about this whole, what we've been talking about?
But where do you even start with some of this? Frankly, I don't know how his restraint is just incredible to me. And I know he has to, and he you know, he can't break that silence, but I can only imagine his level of frustration. And I think that's why they are keeping him silent, is because they know as soon as he does talk, it is going to prove Brian innocent. I firmly believe that. I've believed it from the beginning, and it's the only reason he's being silenced. And I don't. How long can they actually keep isn't it like 99 years or something like that?
That's the $1 million question. How long can they keep him silenced? Yeah.
Yeah. And how long? I mean, when he gets to be, 90, I'd be like, heck with it. I'm saying my piece, and what are they going to do to him at that point?
They'll just say it's a ramblings of an old man. That's why they wait till he's 90. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you have a comment?
But I'm just saying, no, I certainly hope they lit the gag way before that. I mean, we deserve to know the truth. And this whole national security stuff. I mean, okay, yes, sometimes there are reasons to do that, of course, but in this case, I don't know. I don't know.
Don't forget to unmute yourself, Logan, when you talk, because you started to talk and you were muted.
I was. Well, I think that there are still a lot of people saying, well, how come Brian Koberger isn't standing up and screaming from the rooftop or defending himself? I didn't do this. I mean, look,
Doesn't do any good.
Cy Ray isn't even speaking, although I know he has the gag order or whatever, but Brian Koberger is not going to speak either on a case, especially if he wants to file an appeal or do anything with his case, which I think is coming up.
Yep.
Just my opinion though.
I'm
But
with you.
people, that's just not how it works. And
in your
anyway,
cynical view of the world, I don't know if you guys are cynical or not. Is there any part of you, any part, I'm going to go around the horn, any part of you that feels like if Cy Ray is about to be ungagged, that he'll have an accident, car accident, heart attack, and he'll just die and never be able to tell his, is that even a possibility in your mind?
I was actually gonna say that.
What do you think, Robin? Is that even a possibility?
I don't want it to be, but yeah, anything is.
I think that Cy Ray is smart enough to know how to protect himself. He's been around this industry for years. I think he knows, listen, if I go to speak when I'm allowed to speak, and he said he's going to, he told Lana right on, I watched we watched the video with him and Lana when they were doing a live, and he said, I will come on your show first and I will talk. So he knows how to put contingency plans into play. So yeah. I know that they may try, but I'm sure that he has contingency plans in place for just such a reason.
And real quick, before we go around the horn with this and get everybody's opinion on that question, Critic Rick was like, don't jinx it by saying that shit. And it's funny because I'm the opposite. It's by saying that hopefully they won't pull that shit, right? It's like, if they realize that people will be like, gee, it would be awfully fucking convenient for you, wouldn't it, if he had a car accident? Maybe we're not going to buy that bullshit. So, what do you think? Is that crazy conspiracy, or is there a possibility that somebody that could overturn a major conviction could just have an accident and not testify?
How many times have we seen shit like that happen?
Yeah. It wouldn't be the first time that someone...
I'm surprised we haven't seen it more in this case, honestly.
Exactly.
Yeah. And maybe, to play devil's advocate, the reason why we haven't seen it, because maybe it happened the way they said it did.
I think he's being watched by other entities to protect him in some aspect as well, because there's things that are listen, all you got to do is read his affidavit. The statement that he makes in the very last paragraph of that affidavit says it all to me, that in those 35 plus years or whatever years it was that he saw this, he's never, or that he's been doing what he's doing, he's never ever seen such, I can't think exact words, but to me it read absolute purposeful misinformation.
Fuckery.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. You're talking about Cy Ray, right? And and let's not forget, you started to say it. Cy Ray, I believe, has testified on behalf of the prosecution like over 500 times in his career, and never once until now was going to step forward on behalf of the defense. This was the first time in his career. And you said he's got a reputation to uphold. You think Cy Ray didn't take it seriously when he decided that he was going to come on and speak on behalf of Brian Koberger to say this is bullshit for the first time in his life going on? So it means something. That guy had a reputation to uphold, and he had been an expert witness in hundreds of cases, and he was going to come forward and change that track record of always being on the prosecution side for the first time in his life.
Yeah, and thank you, Aquarian. Real quick, I heard Dago say Robin and Logan a while ago, but I was in another room and I thought he said Ron Logan. I thought nope, not today. Thank you so much for that, Aquarian. God bless. I appreciate you very much, but not today.
Way to segue into Delphi.
Right.
All right. Yeah. Let's just sorry. I just wanted to get to Logan officially and Jay to kind of answer. Do you guys think that's possible? Or is that just crazy conspiracy theory? The idea that Cy Ray could be in trouble if he's going to before he testifies? Or I know Logan went blank, so she may not be.
A few things that I think about in that particular case, in that example you're giving. Number one, when people are backed into a corner, they're dangerous. So if there was corruption or worse, more direct involvement, and that was at risk of, because what happens if Koberger gets acquitted, then that means you have to figure out who did it, right? And things would have to come out. And so Oh boy, we got to
Nope,
deal
nope,
with that
nope, nope,
person
nope.
again. And so people love outrage. And so I just think that maybe it's even as far as Koberger knew that if he didn't plead guilty, his life was in jeopardy, right? Maybe the people, other peripheral people that know more, are afraid that their lives might be in danger. So, do I think it's possible that Cy Ray bringing forth information that would open up a whole other can of worms would put him at risk? Absolutely. Because if there is a bigger picture involved in this, which I believe there is, then these people are dangerous. And if they've covered up as much as they have, who knows what else they're capable of.
All right, real quick, we're not going to talk about this, but real quick, I do want to say this. Let me address this real quick. We're not going to talk about it right now. Here's the thing. I'm going to address this in my fireside chat. So I will read to you what he did and what the definition is, so that you can get it clear. That's all I gotta say about that. I'm not going to spend any more time anymore, unfortunately. And I feel bad because the person's donating money to be heard, and I get that, and I feel bad for it. But we're going around and around in circles. One of the things I've learned is when you just keep saying the same thing over and over again, and we say no, it's not, and you say yes, it is, and I say no, it's not, and you say yes, it is. That's the end of that conversation. We've gone back and forth too many times. But for the benefit of other people, I will address it so that I can explain to everybody the legal definitions of these things so you can understand. So anyways, I apologize for that. Like I said, we appreciate donations and support, and I realize that you paid for that question. But again, it's a circular thing. We've already addressed it a couple times. You're coming back with the same answer. It's yes, you did, no, you didn't, yes, you did, and that's not going to get us anywhere, unfortunately, tonight. All right. We got about 15 minutes. You guys want anything that we didn't talk about? Somebody brought up Delphi briefly. We haven't talked about Delphi for a while. Yeah.
No, I was going to say something that Logan and I both heard today from Glitch. I thought was quite an interesting statement, but it was about Idaho. So,
well, you can talk about Idaho. And is there? Huh?
It was just a real quick thing that. Remember when she said, Logan, about how other countries and other areas besides the United States, they don't do what we do here. They don't investigate. They don't screw things up like that. It's everywhere else. They do it the right way, but here. So I just thought that was a very interesting statement, in my opinion. I didn't really get to hear what you thought of it, but I thought that was real interesting to put out to the rest of you guys too, because it's just why why here? Why do we have to do it like that? Why doesn't everybody else not do it but us?
Well, there's a lot of, so it's to the judge's discretion whether he thinks that the DNA is the touch DNA or trace DNA should be let in or not, and he should hear the arguments of why. And I don't think really that was done how it should have been done in this case. I think he's not knowledgeable about DNA, and he thinks if there's DNA, that means the person was there. But the thing is was he there at the time of the crime? There's a whole difference there.
To your point, Logan, Hitler very, very clearly had the attitude. DNA is DNA every day of the week and twice on Sunday. In his mind, he had decided at that moment Koberger was guilty. They have DNA, and that's DNA is DNA and he never even anticipated the idea that maybe the DNA got there a different way, or maybe it was manipulated, or maybe what. He just literally was like, look, don't they have DNA? DNA is DNA every day of the week and twice on Sunday. Case closed in Hitler's mind.
Yeah, and that's, as a judge, I agree with, that's very generic. That should not be a thought process for a judge, in my opinion. I'm sorry, but that's just crazy to me.
I think it's corruption.
Sending 5 memberships. We have 5 new turtles. I appreciate you so much. Sorry, go ahead, JJ.
I just think that there's, in my opinion, clearly corruption in this case. And corruption happens. How many cases do we know of judges being corrupt? There's many. Judges railroading kids for profit, things like that. I mean, it's like just because somebody's a judge doesn't mean they're above corruption.
No.
And so in this case, I've seen a lot of things that indicate corruption to me based on what I've seen. So who knows? I mean, there's probably things going on behind the scenes that probably wouldn't shock us, but would be pretty bad if we found out about them, or if we ever do find out about them. And a lot of times it takes a long time for that kind of stuff to bubble up to the surface.
And real quick, I want to say to your point about the whole, like, you kind of, I think you were alluding to Cash for Kids scandal in Pennsylvania, where the judges got busted for literally helping throw charges at juveniles to get them into the system because there was money. They were getting a money kickback by throwing kids in the juvenile system. I want to say, without getting too deep, and we'll do it maybe another night, that same shit, the kind of Cash for Kids thing, was happening in Letcher County. They were throwing kids into the system and trapping people in that system from as children, and it was very, to me, there's a lot of similarities to the Cash for Kids scandal going on in that county as well. But
and the bigger part of that is for-profit prisons. So that's everything in our world now is being monetized, things that shouldn't be monetized, so that powerful people can profit off of things that they shouldn't be profiting off of, because everybody's fucking corrupt. It's allowed to happen. You know, everybody's on the take all the way up the ladder.
Yeah. All right, let's do our close for the evening, and we'll do Dago, Logan, JJ11, Robin, and then myself for close. So Dago, what do you got for closing thoughts for the evening?
Thank you guys again, as always, so very much for joining us. Always a great conversation. Thank you to all of you moderators. You guys are all amazing. Again, none of us could do this without you. We all appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you, all of you, for joining us here within the community. You guys are all amazing. And I want to thank everybody on panel for spending this time with me here. I always enjoy this so very, very, very much. Turtle power. I love it. And I'm looking forward to the next one. And guys, don't forget, tomorrow we start off here with the first episode of the Princess Diana series that we're running. I'm super excited for that. I'm looking forward to seeing you guys for that as well. And I will be live tomorrow on my channel during the day. Again, I know I missed it today, but we had so much going on, I didn't want to wear myself down. So thank you, everybody. Don't forget to love yourselves and love each other. Don't change nothing. You guys are the beautiful people, and we will see you very soon. Have a great night.
And one thing real quick about Sunday night for tomorrow night, I almost was a little disappointed to hear you guys were switching gears from Kurt Cobain, just because that new release that came out where a Seattle police officer is now saying Kurt Cobain was murdered. And I was like, holy shit, like, you guys were all over this talking about it for like the last month, and all of a sudden it's like new bombshell, Seattle cop saying Cobain was murdered. And I'm like, no,
we covered
shit.
Not just not just a Seattle cop. It's a former captain that actually worked on the investigation. So
we can always do updates on it without fail.
Sure.
As you may need to. All right, Logan, what do you got for closing thoughts for the evening?
Thank you so much for all the supers. I appreciate all of you very much. Thank you to mods and everybody for showing up for us and always being here to support us. We love you guys very, very much. Do something nice for yourself today. Be kind, but more importantly, be kind to your animals. Bye, guys.
All right, thank you so much. JJ, any closing thoughts?
Yeah. Wow. Interesting night. Yeah, thank you to the advocates, as always. Thank you to the denizens, the meatballs, the believers, and the awesome mods. Always a good time, always good discussion, even when it gets heated. That's okay. It's all right for things to get heated. Yeah. It's, not everybody has to agree, and everybody has their opinion. So things get heated. That's just reality. That's life, and you shouldn't avoid it. I mean, I restrained myself. I'm getting better about doing that, because I can be very opinionated, and I've learned to hold back sometimes. But you live and learn. So anyway, thank you again, everybody, and I'll see you guys soon.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Yeah, tonight was a little stressful at times. I felt like I opened up a can of worms that I probably, in retrospect, I wished I wouldn't have started us out with that. That became pretty dicey. Yeah, what do you got, Logan?
Thank you, Conspiraling. Just sent a $49.99 super sticker. Says, stay strong, trust your tuition, be aware of red flags,
that's
stay
neat.
smart, be loud, don't jump on their wagon. We appreciate you so much.
I missed it. Where the hell was that one at?
What?
It just came through just now.
All right.
Again, man.
boy.
I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to say it. I don't think that person's a PhD because
No, different person.
That was a different person.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, let's get off the show before they crucify me.
Oh boy.
Wait, did I let one say goodnight?
No.
Oh shit! How about you? I mean, you got any words?
I do.
He's got a movie quote.
Yeah, thanks to
yeah,
everyone.
yeah.
I got kind of a long one, so I'll just say thanks everyone for coming, and I will see you tomorrow. So since I have a long quote, I won't go on. All right, ready?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I probably won't even have to say the whole quote, but you'll probably get it. All right. Kind of two people talking, just so you know, back and forth. I'm going to recommend to the disciplinary committee that you be expelled, Mr. Sims. You are a cover-up artist and you are a liar, but not a snitch.
But
Excuse
not a
me?
snitch.
No, I don't think I will. Mr. Slade, this is such a crock of shit.
Oh shit!
Please watch
it's,
your language, Mr. Slade. You are in the Baird school, not a barracks.
Yes.
Mr. Sims, I will
Scent of a
give you
woman.
one got it.
Is it a scent of a woman?
Yeah, you got it.
Yeah.
It's a long
There you go.
quote, so
Yeah, you can continue if you want. I got excited that I knew it.
sure. If you want it. Mr. Sims doesn't want it. He doesn't need to be labeled still worthy of being a Baird, man. What the hell is that? What is your motto here? Boys, inform on your classmates, save your hide. Anything short of that, we're gonna burn you at the stake. Well, gentlemen. Well, the shit hits the fan. Some guys run, some guys stay. Here's Charlie facing the fire, and there's George hiding in Big Daddy's pocket. What are you doing? You're gonna reward George and destroy Charlie. Are you finished, Mr. Slade? No, I'm just getting warmed up. I don't know who went to this place. William Howard Taft, William James Bryant, William Tell, whoever. Their spirit is dead. If they ever had one, it's gone. You're building a rat ship here, a vessel for sea-going snitches. And if you think you're preparing these minnows for manhood, you better think again. Because I say you're killing the very spirit this institution proclaims it instills. What a sham. What kind of show you guys putting on here today? I mean, the only class in this act is sitting right next to me. And I'm here to tell you this boy, his soul is intact. It's non-negotiable. You know how I know? Someone here, and I'm not going to say who, offered to buy it. Only Charlie here wasn't selling. Sir, you are out of order. Out of order? I'll show you out of order. You don't know what out of order is, Mr. Task. I'll show you, but I'm too old. I'm too tired. I'm too fucking blind. If I were the man I was 5 years ago, I'd take a flamethrower to this place. Out of order. Who the hell you think you're talking to? I've been around, you know. There was a time I could see, and I have seen boys like these, younger than these, their arms torn out, their legs ripped off. But there ain't nothing like the sight of an amputated spirit. There's no prosthetic for that. You think you're merely sending this splendid foot soldier back home to Oregon with his tail between his legs. But I'll tell you, you're executing his soul. And why? Because he's not a Baird man. Baird man. You hurt this boy, you're going to get
That's not a Baird man.
A lot of you. And Harry, Jimmy, Trent, whoever you are, fuck you too. Stand down.
You
Mr.
too.
Slade. I'm not finished. As I came in here, I heard those words, cradle of leadership. Well, when the bow breaks, the cradle will fall. It has fallen here. It has fallen. Makers of men, creators of leaders. Be careful what kind of leaders you're producing here. I don't know if Charlie's silence here today is right or wrong. I'm not a judge or jury, but I can tell you this. He won't sell anybody out to buy his future. And that, my friends, is called integrity. That's called courage. And that's the stuff leaders should be made of. Now, I have come to the crossroads in my life. I always knew what the right path was. Without exception, I knew, but I never took it. You know why? It was too damn hard. Now here's Charlie. He's come to the crossroads. He's chosen a path. It's the right path. It's a path made of principle that leads to character. Let him continue on his journey. You hold this boy's future in your hands, committee. It's a valuable future. Believe me. Don't destroy it. Protect it. Embrace it. It's going to make you proud one day. I promise you.
Are you auditioning for the sequel?
That script reading was read by one.
One didn't tell us he had a casting director watching.
Right.
Yeah.
It's
I
Robin.
heard. Did you? Logan has no idea who it probably is, but did you guys hear Al Pacino in his voice when he was doing that?
Yes,
Bad
I
man.
did.
Fuck you.
Yeah,
I know a woman. If I wasn't so damn blind, I'd kick your ass. Yeah, I love.
I
love
was
that movie.
envisioning the whole thing as he was doing it. It was great.
Right. All right. With that lengthy soliloquy, let's go to Robin.
that was great. I loved it. You must have done a little bit of theater or something in prior years. But anyway, so thank you for the entertainment, one. And thank you to everyone for coming out. And as I always say, we love you just as much on the replay crew as we do when you come out live. So we appreciate all the support of all three communities, from the wonderful, our viewers, for the mods who are just indispensable. And also, I just love being with my fellow panelists every night. We get into some great discussions, and it's really important to keep discussing these cases and expose all of the lies and inconsistencies that are reported in the mainstream media. But I hope everyone has a wonderful night. And if you are in the path of any of these storms that are coming through, please stay safe. Stay off the roads if you don't have to be on them. And I hope everyone has a wonderful evening.
All righty. And for myself, I want to one more time apologize for getting us off on the wrong foot. I feel like I knew better when I started that conversation that was going to go bad. However, having said that, I will address some of my thoughts on it further in the fireside chat. If you want to hear, if you care to hear my explanation, if you don't care to hear my explanation, that's fine. But there were some other questions that came up as well. A question, at least from Foxy, that I saw in the chat that I want to address. So there's other people's comments that I want to address as well on different topics. So I plan on doing a fireside chat, which is where I take some of those comments that I have longer things to say about that I want to say on the show. Thank you all for coming. I'm sorry that I got a little bit emotional and tense there for a while. Hopefully everybody can realize that every night is going to sometimes something's not going to go right. That was probably one of the things that didn't go super well. But anyways, for what it's worth, thank you so much for listening. Check out the panel tomorrow on the Sunday night special without me, so I don't say anything stupid and lead us off on a fucking wrong direction like I did tonight. You can catch that show tomorrow where they start talking about Princess Diana and other things. And then I will be back on Monday night, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So make sure you catch tomorrow's show, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I'm running it all together. And then also I'll be back on Monday. In the meantime, sometime either tomorrow morning or Monday morning, I'll have that fireside chat where I address some of these more controversial things that came up tonight in a little bit more polished and emotion-free, if I can, way. Thank you for listening. Everybody have a great night.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Night.
Good night.